Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. Gnomeregan is the hardest dungeon in Warcraft Rumble, but I actually have a really sweet army for you for the Horde week, and it works with all Horde Leaders. I did all Horde Leaders with the same army: Sylvanas, Doomhammer, the originals, Grom, Cairne, Sneed, all 5, one army, thanks to the supremely buffed Plague Farmer. This is the army. There are deck codes for all of the leaders down below in the description and the pinned comment, and that puts the minis in roughly the right places. You will have to off-slot the Quillbore on Sneed and Cairne, but that is totally fine. That Quillbore doesn't need that much health to do what it needs to do anyway. So I have Ghoul with Bone Shield, so Ghoul gets armored and eats, and Ghoul survives a lot. Then I have this Plague Farm with Splashing Pumpkins. Plague Farm has got multiple buffs this year. Splashing Pumpkins has got multiple buffs this year, and it's just totally phenomenal. It's just wrecking through all of the minis. Then I have Zappers with Rocket Boots. So with Rocket Boots they can take on those Rocket Towers before the Rocket Towers can hit them. Zappers need to be -1 level from the Rocket Towers in order to be able to destroy them in one go. If your Zappers are more than 1 level below the towers, then you need to drop Wellbecks on the tower as well in order to take the tower down. So that is going to make life a lot more difficult. But as long as Zappers are -1, then this is just such sweet going. Then Wellbecks with Flame Burst, so they deal a little bit more damage around them when they pop. Then I have Witch Doctor with Spirit Ward, and then I have Quillbore with Bramble Burst. Quillbore is here to tank the second boss, because second boss deals a lot of elemental damage. Quillbore can tank that. So ideally my setup is that I try to get a Plague Farmer to approach the second boss. Then I try to tank it with the Quillbore with the Wellbecks, and when it tries to handle those, then Plague Farmer is just going to poison it so much. Thanks to Splashing Pumpkins and all the poison stacks it gets. This would actually be better with the Fury talent on Sylvanas, but I didn't have the Fury talent on this account. And well, the first boss is as usual. You just go to the Meeting Stone, you start sending range units from both directions, especially Plague Farmers, and then the boss is just going to die. You can of course also drop some Wellbecks and some Quillbores on it as needed. And the third boss is just this whack-a-mole. You send minis to the left, to the right, both sides, taking turns. And well, this is a very cheap cycle deck, so you're going to be able to send a lot of minis and you're going to be able to mine. And this just went really, really beautifully, and much of the credit for that goes to the Plague Farmer. So this very low curve now, 2.7 average, in order to get more Plague Farmers out there, because Plague Farmer is really the star of this deck. And making it very low curve means I can get more Plague Farmers, and that's just going to deal all the damage I need. And this is what the deck looks like. Let's take a look at a couple of leaders with this deck. It's the same deck with all of them, but still, so you get kind of an idea. Let's take a look at it in action. So let's start with Sylvanas. I originally built the deck for Sylvanas, and then I started testing it with other leaders and noticed, hey, okay, this is actually just great with everybody. So we're working on getting the Meeting Stone, using Quillbore to grab that shield and also get access to the chest there. And then, well, then there's the fight for the Meeting Stone. Here I'm delaying playing minis a little because I know that there's going to be that missile coming. And yeah, as you can see, one Plague Farmer was thrown away, but, well, another Plague Farmer is approaching. So life's still looking fine. Quillbore with Bramble Burst. Bramble Burst poison kills all chickens, although chickens will be able to kill the Bramble Burst Quillbore as well. So obviously the Bristleback Quillbore would be slightly better against chickens specifically, but well, there's so many uses for the poison otherwise. Here we go. I don't have a lot of anti-air in this deck, because I'm quite limited to the Witch Doctor, but because I can cycle so fast, then I will be able to get those Witch Doctors out there when I need them. And now we have the Plague Farmer just blasting away, and look at that poison. Poison accrues. Sadly, now the poison stacks will be dropped. I was hoping that I would get another Plague Farmer or the Quillbore to extend the poison there. I wasn't quite fast enough. Here I'm wondering now whether I should try to help the Plague Farmer. No, it's fine against the bear. Bear wasn't that strong there. That's going to be okay. And we blast away again. And as you can see, it's just sending stuff from both sides, and especially those Plague Farmers that are coming from down below, and boom, boom. And now again, I'm a little bit behind with my cycle. Couldn't get the poison stacks refreshed, but it's okay. Crowd Pummeler goes down. And then there's the Electrocutioner, the hardest boss here. So I like to defend close to my base, and sometimes I'm a little bit opportunistic about grabbing that tower grabbing the tower early on if I have the sappers in my opening hand. So because if we can grab one tower, then that reduces the amount of damage that comes to the mid lane, and that's just going to help. And I have all of these ghouls here, so thanks to all of the ghouls, then ghouls are tanking, sappers are killing stuff. I wouldn't be able to do it quite like this if sappers were more than -1. -1 sappers do it really beautiful like this. If the sappers were like -2 or something, then I would always need the wellback, so I would not have been able to take the left tower, so this would have been a bunch slower. But look at this now. Just look at where we're going. Double Plague Farmer are shooting at the boss, and oh boy, couldn't quite get enough. But we got pretty close. Now I would need... No, I couldn't cycle fast enough. Now there's no reason to send the Quillbore in. I need to wait a little bit. I need to save a little bit. But I also have those wellbacks that I can send in, so that's gonna be fine. Maximum voltage is going on. Wellbacks, they start shooting the boss. Dealing some beautiful damage. I'll send a Plague Farmer through mid here. Oh, but then there's a Griffin Rider through mid, so that's unfortunate. Managed to lose the chest too. Okay, now I actually should just send Unbounds. I should send Wellbacks and Quillbore, and I realize it at this point that, okay, hey, actually this is what I want to do. Let's just send these in and get blasting, and boom, Electrocutioner, it's just under pressure and goes down. And finally, Mekgineer Thermaplugg, one of my least favorite bosses actually, because this is just a whack-a-mole. You just send on both sides. Now it gets a Molten Giant opener. This is a curious boss because often, depending on what its opening hand is like, it determines what's going to happen. Sometimes it never sends a Molten Giant if it doesn't have it very early on. And against the Molten Giant, those eggs are good. Because eggs typically, Molten Giant breaks the eggs, and then the eggs start shooting at it, and that's just very, very strong. But this was always going to take a while, because the main way to damage it is to destroy the amp switches. You want to try to destroy all the amp switches, so send on both sides, but you will get to break them and not the enemy. And then they slowly deal damage. It has that 90% damage shield. And the only time I have really had success killing this faster is when Anubarak, pre-nerf Anubarak, there was just so much poison that it went through all that damage shield. You could have an Execute here. Execute goes through the damage shield, but it's kind of useless for the other maps, so it's not really worthwhile to make this a little bit faster. Unless you're very high level here, then I guess you could just unbound spam, and then you could have Execute here too, and then you could kill it a little faster. Like, now I have that Plague Farmer actually even dealing tons and tons of damage, sort of, except that, as you can see from the boss's health bar, it didn't go down all that much, even with all of those poison stacks in. So here we go again. Just controlling the map, and because I have a very cheap cycle deck, I'm able to send a lot of stuff everywhere, all the time, mine as much as possible, and yeah. Controlling the switches, that gives me all the bombs. And then the boss is just eventually going to die. Finally. Boom. So that was fun. Let's do that again with Doomhammer. Again, same idea. First boss, we're just going to take the Meeting Stone, then we're going to start sending units from both sides, especially Plague Farmers going through the right side, which is going to be very, very strong. And here, first, I don't want to send too many things into this first targeting reticle, because there's always going to be an explosion here. But I want these minis to be a little bit further back, as you can see, so that they won't all get killed by it. And that means that we get the Meeting Stone. And now that we comfortably have access to the Meeting Stone, it's going to be mine very soon. Here we go, here we go. Then I can just start sending stuff out there. Might drop some wellbacks. I'm really trying to cycle the Plague Farmer again here, because that's really what this deck does for the most part. I cycle the Plague Farmers, and Plague Farmer is now the super unit that I have. I really don't know. Blizzard buffed it a lot this year. I mean, it didn't match the description, but I'm not sure if they had it weaker intentionally earlier. And they just never updated the descriptions because now it's just so super strong, as you can see. Boom. Then the main boss, Electrocutioner. Here we go. So again, I'm trying to save a little bit here. I'm trying to defend close to my base so that I'm not instantly pummeled by the rocket towers, and there's always going to be a big army coming through mid. And then I try to get some sappers out there and take one of the rocket towers if I can. And now I'm a little bit uncertain how to proceed, because I wasn't sure what to do. Maybe that timing wasn't necessarily the greatest. But I was able to take one of the towers anyway. Now there's just a big question is, can I defend this? Because now they are coming. But that Plague Farm, look at the splash radius with the splashing pumpkins. It just kills the Mountaineer Dwarf. Well, it almost killed it behind, unless... Well, yeah. My Ogrim threw it further away and actually saved the dwarf. I'm trying to find an opening here for the sappers. And boom, I did find it. So that's pretty beautiful. Also here, now the tower's being built for me. Then enemy prioritizes hitting that tower. And that means that I can just kill them while they try to retake the tower. And Plague Farmer just doing an absolutely phenomenal job. Alright, I almost have both towers under control. I think we will be able to rebuild this tower, right? Yes, just in time. Alright, that's perfect. Now we should be completely fine. Trying to send a little bit of defensive power out there, and then I'm also trying to send a Plague Farmer. Can I? No, I was too slow. I was too slow. Whoa! Actually, well, actually, I would just need a Quillbore, quick. Okay. Between the Quillbore and the Whelpex distracting the boss, just look at the damage from that Plague Farmer. That Plague Farmer is just totally crazy. And boom, the boss is already dead. And then the final whack-a-mole part against Thermaplugg. But this is pretty much the same thing with every Horde Leader. Every Horde Leader can do the same role. You don't necessarily even have to play the leader at all if you don't want to. That's also perfectly doable. So you just go in, let the army do its thing, use that super Plague Farmer, and I think this is one of the most comfortable runs actually that I have ever had through Gnomeregan. So, although one of the things is that I now had -1 sappers. Usually I have had -2 sappers because of the XP changes, my sappers gained a level on this account, and I didn't have a suitable account where I'd have -2 sappers. But still, very, very comfortable, even up to at least the low red difficulties. Not sure how doable high red difficulties are in Gnomeregan anyway right now. Because in something like Sylvanas you can do -3 fairly comfortably. Gnomeregan even -1 has been something to fight for. But this was definitely one of the most comfortable runs that I have had through Gnomeregan. So here we go again. Pow pow pow, pow pow pow. Grabbing all the amp switches, sending minis on both sides so that I always have good map presence, so that I'm able to grab those switches quickly as they spawn. And, well, the boss can't do much about it now, can it? Pow, pow, pow. They're going down. Bombs are going in. I keep sending minis on both sides. There I need a little bit of support on the... I should have sent the Quillbore on the right. Now I allowed the... Yeah, I could have prevented both of those bombs to my base. Doesn't make much of a difference in this boss, because the boss is quite easy, but still. Anyway. Here we go. That's Gnomeregan with Horde. Same army. Works with every Horde Leader. Thank you for watching. Click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and a special thanks to all of my Patreon supporters, YouTube members and Twitch subscribers who make all of these videos possible.